everyone, welcome to the Clueless Mama podcast. I am Maribel. I am your host.
I'm Robert. I'm your co-host for today.
And he's a hubby.
Husband, triplet father.
And what's your nickname you trying to stick with?
Triplet King.
He's been calling himself that since the day that we found out we were having triplets. We were outside getting the lap done to make sure everything is good. And you're like, yes, I'm the fucking king. The triplet king.
Oh, 100%. Fuck yeah. What are you talking about? It's like a pretty, I don't know, for me it's like a pretty hard flex. That's all I'm taking it as. Like, oh yeah, got triplets here, so.
And especially
that's all it is.
They are spontaneous triplets. We didn't plan for them. We didn't go through any medication, no IVF. We were really fortunate, really a bless that we were able to get triplets and our first time trying to get pregnant.
Yeah, it's pretty random. I think it's like one in 20,000. It's something like that.
To get spontaneous triplets.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. Pretty cool. So
we've been parents for 3 months. It seems longer. It will be 4 months this month, but it seems like it's been longer than that. Mm-hmm. How are you dealing with everything?
Good. Me personally, I've been through a little bit of stress. I always feel like there's a certain weight put on a man being a father. I'm sure other fathers can probably attest to this, that, there's always kind of an expectation from fathers or men in general, being husband, father. There's always this, everybody's expecting you to do all these things. And I totally get it. You're definitely, it's true, but that pressure can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes, I think is the best way to explain it. It can be overwhelming because you can't fuck up. There's not really an option here. You trying to get everything right, but you're not going to get everything right. You're going to mess stuff up. But in my case, I don't like to mess stuff up. I like things to go seamlessly. I mean, that's just how I've always been. I'm picky. So when things don't go as planned or when I have to change things up. Yeah. From how I used to normally do things.
You're really a guy that loves routine and you hate when something changes your routine.
Big time. Routine is huge for me. And this was definitely a wake-up call for that my routine is,
long gone.
Part of my language don't mean shit anymore.
We are in the routines of the babies now.
Yeah, they definitely run the roost around here. And it's mainly me just trying to,
adapt to their schedule.
I mean, even for you too, it's a huge change for both of us. But as far as my feelings and how I'm dealing with it, every day is better, obviously. The first month was cool. It was pretty chill. Once we brought Millie home, excuse me, I think that's when things kind of got real and got hard.
Oh, yeah, because I feel like our first month
got really stressful to the point where I was losing myself. I could just sense it. I know you saw it, and it was stressful.
Because I feel like our first month was in NICU, so that really didn't count. As yes, we were there for them. We did everything we were able to do, but it wasn't the same because we were at the NICU schedule. Second month, we had just Jacqueline and James, so we had time to do 2, which, by the way, twins, super easy to handle.
Yeah, twins was
piece of cake.
I mean, honestly, yeah, if we had twins, I wouldn't. Not that I'm bitching, but if we had twins, it would. There'd be a lot less to talk about, I think.
Oh yeah, and twins are a little bit more common. But our first month didn't start until December 10th. That's the day that we brought Millie. That was officially the day that all 3 babies were under this household. Mm-hmm. It was just relying on us, which it was so hard because we were feeding on the hour, 24/7.
Yeah, it was nonstop. There was no. We had maybe, I don't know, sometimes 30, 40 minutes.
But that's pretty much to wash bottles.
Wash bottles. Try to get a bathroom break in. Yeah. No, there's no time for nothing.
During that time, I told myself, there's no time to get emotions. You're pretty much a robot set to feed and change diapers.
Yeah,
What
at that
got you
time.
through that? Because that's what I told myself to like just focus on feeding and that's it. How did you get through that month? Well, like the first 3 weeks.
Here, or
Yeah,
at the
when we
NICU.
were just us two before my mom came and helped us.
Honestly, from being in the NICU and just following their schedule and stuff, I tried to apply that here as much as possible. You know just as much as I do. I took the NICU very seriously.
Yeah, because
I
we were there 24
I
7.
not throwing any shade at you. I took it a lot more seriously than you in the essence of learning this shit. Like the equipment, how it was used, what it was monitoring, why it was monitoring that stuff. So because we had to come home with some of that stuff too.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of techie on that side of it. So I came into it in the approach of, okay, there was no difference here with what we're doing even at the NICU because at the time we couldn't really do much with Millie in the NICU.
Yeah, now we couldn't even touch her.
You know, even holding her was kind of very few and far in between. Another topic for another time with her.
Of
But
course.
so just coming home with James and Jacqueline was exactly what we were doing in the NICU, just we weren't at the NICU. So I kind of ran into it thinking, okay, this is no different than what we've already been doing on the days that we are there, which was every day. Now we just don't have that level of, oh, nurse, hey. At this point, it's like, no, it's on us. And I think that's when my fatherly instinct or parental instinct really kicked in was when we got home and I knew like there was no option of like messing this up. Like we had to do this stuff. I had this untapped level of energy all the time throughout the whole freaking night. Like I could just go.
Yeah, you did, because I would crash out.
I was up all night. I'd sleep from what 2 in the morning till 5 in the morning.
Yeah, when we were at the hospital, you would drop me off at midnight and you would just bounce back to the NICU.
I had for those 2 months, I had just this crazy amount of just untapped energy that, I mean, I never got tired. I was just go, go, go. When it was time to sleep, I slept. Yeah, we were on that.
Yes.
I mean, I slept, but yeah, no, for the most part, I just had this crazy amount of energy that just wouldn't go away, which thank God for that because you need a lot of rest and, well, I was capable. So, but no, sorry, back to the question. The approach, honestly, for me, like I said, was failure is not an option here. This has to be done. These are our kids. And it gave me kind of this sense of responsibility that I'd never had. Like almost this like huge sense of like importance. Like what I'm doing here really is super fucking important because these kids are depending on me right now.
Yeah.
And so are you. You weren't exactly in the best shape. You know,
No.
you just carried triplets. You had some issues going on. Another topic for another day. We got a lot to talk about here, people. There is so much to talk about between just this pregnancy. Is just there's so much stuff that's going on. But so even having to take care of you in a certain essence of make sure that you were safeguarded for things you needed. You know, your immobility and just all the other stuff. I had to be the one that was there doing all this stuff. There was no other option.
But yeah, because the first 2 weeks, and I just told you this during our lunch date, the first 2 weeks of us having the babies in the NICU, it's just a big blur. The only thing I do remember is Millie surgeries, and that's it. Other than that, I really don't remember. And I didn't even have the energy, and I felt so bad when you were like, oh, do you want to do care times for Jacqueline? No, I don't. I just want to sit in the reclining chair and chill. I had no energy.
Oh yeah, and you were pretty immobile for about the first week and a half. I was
Oh,
still
yeah.
carting you around. And I remember that too. I had asked you like, hey, you want to do the cares? And you just looked at me. You kind of gave me that look like, no. And it's like, okay, it's fine. I got him. I mean, I did every fucking diaper change. I did every oral care. I did whatever feedings I could
Yeah.
when they were spaced out, right? I mean, I took to it. It was fine. I knew it had to be done.
So can you explain what oral care is for people that have never been in the NICU for parents?
So in the NICU with premature babies, they don't get some of the nutrients from the placenta like they would for full-term babies. Full-term babies gain more benefits of being there longer. They're more developed. Having premature babies, the oral care, I can't remember what it's called. It's like a colostrum compound almost that they put on a swab. And essentially what you're doing with it is before your baby feeds, what you'll do, because our babies in particular, they had a ton of like, they would always have a ton of buildup, like dryness and weird stuff. And that was their bodies trying to produce this stuff to keep their oral care in check, but they didn't they weren't capable of it because they were so small. So the oral care was essentially a cotton swab with either mom's breast milk and some of this colostrum, or if mom didn't have the breast milk at the time, which get to that again because that was also a struggle. The oral care would pretty much be after we got them changed, got them ready for feedings, we would take this swab and we would run it up and in and around their gums, massage their tongues, the roof of their mouth, around their lips. I mean, it got to the point where they would eventually recognize it and start kind of sucking on it. And it's like it called like the colostrum you would get from breast milk, just in a supplemented form. But it's really good for their mouths. It's also good for their sensories and all that stuff. So that would be done just about every care to get them used to that and get that to them. So that's what that was, oral care. It's something they didn't get from being full term. So it's something that's provided to them by hand by us or the nurses if we weren't there.
So we had our baby. So our goal when we found out we were having triplets, they told us our goal is 35 weeks. We made it to 32, which I don't even know how I was able to make it to 32. I was ready to give up at 28. Just because it was just my first pregnancy was very heavy. When we got there the first time to the hospital at 30 weeks, did you think we were going to have the babies that weekend?
Yeah. I remember Capuro telling us, "Oh, you're going in. You know, your urine has this, and this. Those are all signs of, well, labor."
Yeah.
And then you were also having, at the time, what you thought were back pains, just from being pregnant with triplets.
Yes.
Little did she know, these were actually like full-fledged, top of the scale contractions. She just had no basis for comparison on, oh, well, these are contractions. I've never had them. I think these are just back pains. But
Yeah.
no, when we got into the hospital, I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, this is happening. You know, our high risk doctor came in, Dr. Tweet, and was kind of giving us the rundown on what was going on. You know, your blood pressure was a little high and you had all the signs, but nobody wanted it.
No.
Everybody was really nervous about the fact that we were there already. And I was too. That was my first thought was, shoot, these babies are coming now. This is way earlier than any of us even, I wouldn't say anticipated. There's always that risk. But for me, it was more, I'm more worried about the circumstances of being born this early.
Yes.
You know, delivering this early, there's a lot worse things that could come from, what was it, 2 weeks prior to when we actually gave birth? Or was it?
So the first time was at 30 weeks. We gave birth at 32.
It was 2 weeks prior. So in the case of like Millie, that would have been a game changer. If she would have been born at 30 weeks.
I don't think they would have been able to do her surgeries.
I have a very hard time believing that she would still be here with us.
Yeah.
Honestly. And that was, and we didn't know what was going on with Millie at that time.
Another story.
Yeah. But that was what was running through my head was, this is really early. Like 32, okay, still early, but it's 32. If we can get to that 34, 35, I was always saying, oh, we're getting to 36.
You were saying 37
Well,
at a point. I was like,
fuck it, let's get to 40. You know what I mean?
because you were the one carrying
it's just like totally possible, hey, get there. But yeah, no, we got there, it was like, okay, they're coming. Yeah. And for me, I wasn't so much worried about their coming early. We're parents now. It was, like I said, the condition of them being this early in a triplet state.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I mean, us making it to 32 weeks, it's great. For a singleton at 32 weeks, though, that's like bad. Not bad in the essence, oh my God, it's bad, but that's early for a singleton baby.
Oh, yeah.
But for triplets, everybody was like, God, you guys did great.
We made it.
Like, shit, you guys did so good. And I'm sitting here like, yeah, but if that was a singleton at 32 weeks, everybody's like, this baby's super premature.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, we did have a micro preemie, which micro preemie means they weigh 2 pounds or under, which that was Millie.
Millie was exactly 2 pounds.
Yes. So
yeah,
she
that
was.
That whole 2.3, no.
No, she was 2 pounds.
That was with a diaper and all the cords attached off her. So 2 pounds, I think is fair to say. She was a solid 2 pound baby. But.
So March 31st will be the 1 year since I told you that we were pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Did it ever cross that we were going to have multiples? Did it ever cross that triplets could have been a possibility and for our journey as
No,
parents.
no, absolutely not. The only like little inclination that I had was Leanne, my sister, jokingly telling me this. We were at mom's house that one time, and we were having dinner, and it was before we even got married. We were still building our house, I think, and mentioned, yeah, we want to get married, and then I want to start having kids. And Leanne had mentioned, jokingly, like, haha, you're going to be the one that's got twins. You're going to be holding one up by each foot. Like, what the fuck do I do? Like.
And I feel like you already had those moments.
Right. And she had always just mentioned that for some reason. Oh, you're going to be the one that has twins. You're going to be the one that has multiples. You just watch, Bob. And I don't know if that was just her. I wouldn't say like wishing I had twins because I was kind of a little fucker when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'm an only boy out of my 6 sisters. And I'm the only boy. I was the youngest for the first 10 years of my life until my baby sister Jeannie came. But I don't know if that was just her way of kind of messing with me. Like, oh, this is kind of some karma coming your way. But it never actually like crossed my mind like, oh, maybe what she's saying has some truth, because there's no way to even tell.
Yeah, no.
I can't just say, oh, I'm gonna have twins or triplets. If we went and did IVF, the chances are obviously much greater, but we never did that. So it never once like actually crossed my mind like, oh, I'm having triplets or I'm having twins. Like, no, it was never a thing. I mean, for a while there after we got married and we were trying, I thought something was wrong with me. Like we were having a hard time getting to take, so to speak,
But it wasn't even hard because we started in November. We got pregnant in March. So
No.
technically, you were just adding that stress on you.
No, I know, and I'm just kind of impatient, I guess is the thing. But so I was just glad that when you told me we were pregnant, that we were actually pregnant, like my reaction on that video that you made, that was so genuine. I was just awestruck, like, whoa, no freaking way. Like, I'm going to be a dad. This is so awesome. But yeah, never once was I like, oh, there's 2 in there. There's 3 or whatever, I was just happy that you were carrying, that was huge for me. I mean, and I think it was huge for my family too, being the only boy, especially like my dad. I didn't have my dad a lot growing up.
Yeah.
So I think my dad's been waiting for this moment for a long time for his one and only son on this side of the Brinkleys,
Yeah, you're carrying no pressure, but we had to get the boy to carry the last name.
Yeah, I mean, I've got, some second and third cousins that are Brinkley off my cousin Jesse, but when you look at true bloodline, I'm the last of the actual generation true blood Brinkley.
Yeah.
Off my father's side. And that, yeah, it is kind of a, it's a lot of weight to carry, I thought about that all the time. Like, shoot, we could have a little girl to start. That's great. That's fine. My dad does not have a granddaughter yet.
Yeah.
But a boy is kind of warranted here, Kind of need a boy.
No pressure here.
No, not at all. Kind of need a boy in this mix, just for that reason. That sounds kind of selfish, but family names are family names, and they're a strong thing, especially, like my family name it's big to us. That Brinkley name is huge for us, just like your name is for you guys.
Yeah.
It's like that with every family. Some people obviously might not give a shit about that, but it's like my family and how I grew up. Your family name is what represents you, and that's a big
That's
thing.
who you are. That's your history.
It's a huge thing, especially when your family's stayed local for so long and you're so widespread through just a small, like, kind of community like we are,
Well, yeah, I remember when you brought me to Urinton for the first time. There was a girl that asked me, like, oh, like, who are you with? I'm like, oh, I'm with Robert Brinkley. She's like, oh, a Brinkley? And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? Because this was my first time in Nevada. So I was like, what is that supposed to mean? Is it a good Brinkley? Is it a bad Brinkley?
Take it for both.
I guess.
There's both of them out there. I'll say I'm one of the good ones. So.
I have a joke. So I say that Brinkleys have levels. And that's my joke from the in-laws that we have.
When she says levels, she's talking about like levels of, call it frustration. I wouldn't say just anger, but
yeah, no frustration.
I think that's derived mainly from my dad. My dad has those little temper tantrums. He's an old grumpy fucker, and it'll be like a level 2 where he's just kind of, kind of mumbling under his breath. But when he gets like level 4, level 5, he's, well, I'll fuck you this and fuck that, and just.
And we're out of here, people. We are out.
And there's no turning around at that point. He's just pissed. But yeah, is that Millie?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So when we did our gender reveal, we kind of knew really early what we're having at 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
what would your reaction been if they would have been wrong with James? Like we would have ended up with 3 girls. Because the order that they had to be delivered was going to be Jacqueline, James, and then Millie, but and it ended up being Jacqueline, Millie, and James. And your reaction was like, "Wait, that he doesn't have a penis."
Yeah, no. I think if they would have been wrong, it happens, and I would have been understanding about that. Okay, we're back. We had to take a little break.
Because we were really clueless, thinking that we were going to be able to do this podcast with no baby sounds, because we have 3.
It's all good. Millie needed to change, but so back to the question you had asked on how I would have felt if the doctors had been wrong about James. There would have been some level of, I guess you could say, like, oh, that sucks. Like, I thought I was getting a son.
Yeah.
I didn't. But honestly, that would have been way outweighed by no matter what we would have gotten. I would have been just as happy having 3 girls, 3 boys, 2 boys and 1 girl, or what we have with 2 girls and a boy. I would have been happy with whatever. Having the son in there, the 1 boy, is just, it's a cherry on top for the whole situation.
Yeah, because I could officially say, if we don't have any more kids, then we're good.
No,
2
absolutely.
girls and a boy, it's perfect.
Absolutely, it's a perfect mix. But no, like I said, there would have been some level of, hey, sweetheart.
Do you want to try for another set of triplets?
Need to try again here to get a boy in the mix. Is like we were talking about, the family name and being the one Brinkley son on my father's side. So, yeah, but no, I would have been happy with whatever we got. It's a blessing regardless. It would have
Put a little bit more pressure on.
No, not that. It would have been it would have been a thought that would have stayed in the back of my mind. Like, shoot, I would really like a son. Not that I can't bond with girls, and being a girl dad, from what I've heard, is super awesome. But having a boy, I think for a man is, well, I think you're.
I wouldn't have my daily naps.
I think you're a little bit more obsessed with the guy than I am.
And I think now I know like the true definition of like mama's boys and like daddy's little girl. I never understood that until like I did skin to skin with James in the NICU. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, he's my baby, because we were not able to experience what a lot of parents do. Like they have the babies and they able to hug them within seconds.
Right.
We couldn't even touch them, or I didn't touch them until the next day. The only one that I saw the only one that I pretty much met was Jacqueline, because that was the only one that didn't need oxygen. Mm-hmm. But other than that, we didn't experience that.
No.
So I feel like it took me a longer time to realize like, oh shit, like I'm a mom, until we did that skin on skin with James, Jacqueline, and Millie. That's when I felt like we are a family now.
Yeah, and I think the initial visit for you was harder because you were away for those couple of days. You couldn't go see them.
No.
I was up there. Oh shoot, what was it? I went and saw your family, my family, waiting in the room. Let them know that everything went seemingly, really well. Babies are out. Babies are being tended to. I didn't know their state either. I mean, when Millie left, they obviously had her kind of doing what they were doing on her. James a little bit too. Jackin was, just kind of hanging out, doing her thing.
Overachiever.
So yeah, I told him, it's like, I'm going to go up and see. And yeah, I remember my first visit up there was just like, whoa, this is fucking crazy. Like there was so much going on. And then you just see these just itty bitty specimens. I mean, even James being 4 pounds, it wasn't 4 pounds of like fat baby.
No.
It was 4 pounds of just bones. I mean, there wasn't meat there. They didn't make it to the fattening process. You know, they made it to, okay, we're the length that we're going to be coming out, but there was no bulking. They had cut. They were doing their winter cut.
They got evicted before that shit happened.
So, but yeah, no, it was something else, that's for sure.
Yeah, because all of this has been very crazy. I know you haven't been really around little kids much of your life, just because when your sisters were having their niece and nephews, your niece and nephews, you're in California. Mm-hmm. Now that you're babies 24/7, how does it feel? Like, because how you previously said you're a routine guy. Like before we had kids, you used to come home, shower, have your 1 hour of your own time, And then sometimes when you come, I'm like, help, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Like, how are you adjusting to those adjustments?
I think for me, the routine's huge. Very hard. Even now, like my morning routine kind of sucks sometimes when I don't get it when I want. I just have to kind of, put my pride aside and just understand that there's bigger things to tend to
Yeah.
than, my morning routine sometimes. It sucks. That routine thing for me is a hard one. And not being around like babies this small my whole life, like you were, all your sister's kids, you were there for all of it. I wasn't. Like you said, I was in California working with you, dating you when we first started dating. I wouldn't meet them until they were, 3-4 months old. Already had shit figured out for mom and dad, and it'd be a 5-10 minute hold. I wouldn't feed, I wouldn't change diapers. It would be kind of how people come over and visit us, would be me to them. I'd come home on a weekend, visit my new nephew, because I had nephews to start with until Saber had a.k.a. But yeah, I didn't have any of that like real world experience with kids. I didn't know shit. I mean, so adjusting to that, I think being in the NICU that first month and just taking that in and learning all that I could and really taking a hard practice to it, because I'm part of my big routine thing is if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do the goddamn best at it that I can do.
Yeah.
I'm going to read about stuff. I'm going to study stuff. I'm going to learn stuff. Like I'm going to really go down the rabbit hole on this fucking thing. I'm going to be perfect at it by the time I'm done with it. Now that's I don't care what anybody says, you're not going to be a perfect parent no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you study, no matter what you read, no matter what you do. Nothing will be perfect. And I think for me that came into realization a lot sooner than I thought it would. I knew things were going to be different, and I knew things were going to be hard to make time for things I used to do before. Mm-hmm. And I think it's good that it came into realization sooner than I thought it would, because it kind of breaks you for a bit there, not in a bad way, but it broke me in the essence of, dude, you're not shit. You are not important right now. The only reason you're important right now in this house is to make sure that your wife and your kids stay alive and stay healthy. That's your importance here. What you want to do, what you used to do, what you feel like you should be going doing does not mean, pardon my language, a fucking thing anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean shit to anybody.
I feel like that was your huge, reality check.
Yeah.
Because
even now to a certain degree, we've talked about this, like when these kids come home, the husband, he's last. He is last on the totem pole of importance. You are by far the most important person in this house, your mom. The kids, obviously, second. Dad, I'm still important, don't get me wrong, and I realize that I'm still important, but not as important as you would think a father would be. And like I said, we've talked about this, and I've broken it down for you and how, like men's emotions come into play too. We have emotions too, and we have feelings about some of this stuff too, and a lot of it doesn't get heard because, well, men are supposed to be tough. Men are supposed to carry that weight and be strong about it, and that's fine, I have. But you get broken the fuck down about it.
Oh, yeah.
It breaks you down to a level you never thought you would be at. I mean, I've been at some low lows in Cali. I've been dead broke. Me and my dog, Ranger here, ate potatoes and onions every day for 2 weeks because that's all we had in the fridge.
Yeah.
And even that feeling is way overshadowed by being broken down like this at home, to where it just seems like no matter what you do or how hard you try or, what you think you're doing good, which you are, it doesn't get acknowledged by anybody. It really doesn't. It's how's mom? How's the kids? You might get asked every now and then, how are you?
Yeah.
But your response every time, as a man and as a father, is going to be, I'm good.
And I feel like the only people that actually ask that question to a dad, it's another dad.
Other dads.
Because they know how it feels.
Other guys that have been through this shit. It's a totally different experience. I'm not a... Guys can bitch about a lot. Like, oh, so-and-so this at work and blah, blah, this at work. It just... Other things. I don't have good examples right now, but nothing... I can't even explain it to you. Another father could try, but even his experience is going to be different than mine. It breaks you down. You become nothing for a minute.
Yeah.
And that is, once you can grasp that and accept that you aren't shit to anybody for a while, then you're going to understand, hey, it's all going to get better.
And I think as like a mother and a wife, I don't think we try to make it feel like the husband or the dad doesn't mean shit. We are focused on the baby. The baby for us is priority.
No, absolutely. And that thought never crossed my mind. I had already had a prep talk, a little bit of a pep talk from Chris.
Yeah.
When we had the baby shower, me and him went out and talked by the truck because he just wanted to ask. And he told me straight up, he said, hey, man, when the babies come, Chris, he kind of laughs when he says shit like this. He's
Yeah, because they were still in shock we were having 3.
He told me, he's like, hey, man, when them kids come, you ain't shit, motherfucker. And he told me straight up like that. And he's like, you ain't shit when these kids come. And I was like, yeah, okay. And he's like, no. It's like, I'm being serious. He's like, yeah, you're their father and you're her husband and that's your house and, whatever. But he told me straight up. He broke it down. He said, you aren't going to be shit in that household for a while. That's just the way it is. And I see that now. Not like it's still like that. I know things have had our moments.
Yeah.
But things have, leveled out in a good point. But yeah, for a while there, it was tough to adjust all this. It was really tough for me.
Well, especially because you went living by yourself for 10 years, living with me for 2.5, to having a family of 5.
Yeah, immediately, it was.
You did a 360.
And we're still both young. I mean, we're the same guy. We're 30 years old.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, no, it came real quick. And I mean, I've always felt like I've conquered everything that's come my way, whether it be personal life stuff that's came up, work, just any obstacles. I've always felt like I've never actually failed at anything.
Yeah.
And I think this is one thing that you can really fail at if you lose sight of it. Like, you can let your emotions really get the better of you here, and it can take you on a path you don't want to go down. I went down that road. I went down the whole postpartum depression.
Yes.
Which is something that I don't think a lot of men get.
I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently 1 out of 100 men get postpartum depression.
And I'll tell you right now, I fucking had it.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was, when we did our newborn photos, you could just see it in my face.
Yeah, Christmas. I was terrified of asking you if you had postpartum depression.
It just was.
Because I didn't get it, but you did.
Yeah, no, it was. And I've never had depression, so I didn't know what it felt like. But once you realize you have it, it's just this huge front to not let anybody know, because then you start getting these pity parties. Like, oh, you poor guy. No. Men need to deal with, well, I wouldn't say men, but I feel like people need to deal with that stuff on their own terms. And I tried to, but my anger would get the better of me a lot. But yeah, that whole depression thing is some real stuff. Like, it takes over. And I think that's maybe a better way to explain this whole, it breaks you down. I got broken down to a point where it was like I was so fucking depressed. Nothing made me happy. I wasn't happy being a father.
Yeah.
For those couple weeks, about a month, honestly. I was not happy. After we brought Millie home, I was not a happy camper for a while, and I just had to put on a front. Wake up every morning and just kind of go with it, because I still didn't go back to work yet. I took more time off work.
And I feel like that's a difference where a lot of dads don't have that luck of being able to be off from work for that long, because you were off from
What it was
the 13th of October, the 12th of October,
October 12th until
the 15th of December.
December 15th.
So not a lot of
it's just
parents,
2
dads.
months, 2 whole months.
Yeah, not a lot of dads experience that. So I feel like that's why you were more of a depression, because you were with the baby 24/7.
That too, and I'm also not good at just sitting around the house.
Yeah.
Even if we didn't have kids, I can't just sit around the house and not do anything. So yeah, that's a good point there. Is
You were like full on involved.
I'm fucking tied down. I can't do anything. I can't even go into the garage and tinker with my toys.
No.
It wasn't even a thought. Like, I am trapped to that fucking living room.
It wasn't even living room,
Well,
because they were still in
our
oxygen.
bedroom at the time. Yeah, I'm trapped to that bedroom. We can't even take the kids out of the bedroom.
No, because they were still in oxygen for that
Yeah, and that
almost
I
month.
don't even want to think about it. It sucks. Even thinking about it now, it's like, God, that was miserable. Going back to work was very good for me.
I was waiting for that day to happen already.
Yeah, going back, everybody told me like, you're gonna wish you were going back to work, and no, fuck that, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Towards the end of it, it was like, okay, I'm ready. Because even after I'd had that conversation, with my boss, it's like, hey, I need an extra week or two off. Here's what's going on. Got some stuff going on with Millie, and I need some time off. I just absolutely can't go back right now. 2 days after that call was made, it was like, fuck, I wish I would have gone back.
I thought like you should have just gone back.
You
I would have
know,
sucked it up.
I'm glad I didn't, because
Yeah.
that was a very rough, busy week for us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a very stressful week. So I'm glad I am glad 100% I took that week off, that extra week off.
So the moment I noticed that postpartum depression on you was a possibility was the day that I told you that the doctor told me that 98% of kids born the condition Millie was born, they don't make it out of the operation room. You were in front of the bassinets, in front of James and Jacqueline's, you were holding Millie. And you were just crying. I have never seen you cry that way.
I remember that night.
And
Yeah.
you were like, Millie's gonna die. This is why the hospital let her out. She's
Yeah.
gonna die here. And that's when I noticed like you are in depression because you were just looking at the negative things of having Millie with us because you
Yeah.
thought she was gonna die because we couldn't handle her. She's a unique case. We weren't able to like calm her down. Nothing. So that's when I noticed you're like,
No, I remember
yeah.
that. I remember that night. Now that you bring it up, I remember. Yeah, no, that was all time low for me right there. I remember you came up like, babe, what's going on? I just couldn't even talk. I was just holding her as tight as I could without hurting her, of course. But
oh yeah.
yeah, it was just, that was all that was running through my mind. It was like, she shouldn't even fucking be here. Like, did they just send her home just to give her us a little bit of happiness until she fucking passes? Like, there were so many intrusive and terrible thoughts running through my mind, which normally isn't me.
Yeah, normally you're the positive one. I'm the overthinker.
Yeah, no, you definitely tend to overthink things a bit. But yeah, that night after you told me that, it just, everything kind of just hit me, and it was just like, what the fuck, And then, yeah, I sat there for probably 45 minutes straight, just bawling my eyes out, holding
Yeah.
her, and I couldn't stop. And it was just, like I said, all these intrusive thoughts just taking over. No matter what I tried to think as far as positives, like she's here, she's alive, it just nothing.
No, you thought that she was gonna die within the next day or two.
Yeah, nothing would console me. And that, I think that might have been, yeah, like you said, the point where it was like, damn, yeah, he's broke down. Because it's some real stuff, You don't know until you know, and once you do know, you just deny it.
Yeah. And that was also the night that gave me the idea of creating this podcast. Because I feel like people are not open about these stuff. They are more open about the positive of like the happy, the love side of being a parent. Like everybody's telling you.
Well, and that's all you hear.
Exactly. So I'm like,
That
I
is
want to
all
create a
that you
podcast
hear.
where like we're able to be real, where you could share that postpartum depression on men's happen, being stressed out, sometimes not wanting to be a parent because it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
To show that side too, because we came in like, yeah, being a parent is so much fun,
Well, and that's all anybody told me. All my buddies, dude, like parenting's so fun. It's so worth it.
so
Like,
rewarding.
it's so rewarding. It's glorified. And I stand strong to what I said when I had said it about this. There's nothing glorified about this at that time when I had said that.
Yeah, when we're just feeding on the hour.
100% like set on that. There's nothing glorified about this. This sucks. Like, you have no life. You have, yeah, I guess now that we look back and they're where they're at and it's getting really fun, yeah, it's worth it. But waiting for that worth it part is so freaking tough. Like, you're drained. And all my buddies, oh, it's so much fun. This, that, dude, this is not fun. I'd tell my buddies at work who don't have kids, like, dude, if you're going to have kids, make sure it's what you fucking want.
Make sure it's just one at a time.
Well, yeah, if you don't really have a choice. But no, this isn't fun right now. This isn't fun. Fun is me sitting in my boat, smoking a cigar and sipping a beer, listening to Juicy J. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's fun. This was not fun. This was the most stressful thing I've ever done. It's the most patience testing thing I've ever done, because my patience
Are getting better.
It's definitely gotten a lot better, but I thought I was a pretty patient person when it came to most things, but baby patience and tolerance is a totally different thing.
Oh yeah.
And I did a little bit of reading on that too. Tolerance to babies can be lesser because it's not like they're doing anything that they're doing on purpose.
Yeah.
Babies cry. They cry. They can have a shitty diaper. They're hungry or they're in pain. But like Millie, when she cries, just immediately I know it gets under our skin. Not like, oh, we hate her for it.
No.
But it just, it triggers us.
It numbs me. I don't know what to do. Like when Jacqueline James cry, I know the different types of cry. I'm like, okay, you're hungry. Diaper. This. Millie, when we brought her home,
oh man,
I felt like I didn't know that baby just because in the NICU, we weren't able to have that one-on-one time with her. We were not able to bond with her.
No.
We were just seriously able to touch her, but we didn't want to move her because all of the drainage, all the tubes, like she was on life support for 2 weeks.
Well, she's on life support for longer than that.
Oh yeah.
About a whole month when you add it up from when she had her last surgery to
her
when
last.
we removed the NRG tubes and the drain tubes from her stomach, and then she was finally actually able to be held, IVs out from her head. The list goes on, but yeah, no, it wasn't fun. It wasn't rewarding. It felt like nothing we were doing here was important. I don't want to sound negative about it because
but you're being real, and that's what all of this is about.
No, I know. It just sounds bad. Like to even parents that have kids now, they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, you're just being weak. You're just not being strong about it." Honestly, go fuck yourself.
But no one could say that other than another parents that had triplets.
Well, okay, and I get that, but even some single babies are difficult too, and I can totally relate to that.
Because if we had one Nilly, it would have been a lot.
Oh, we'd still have our hands full.
Oh yeah.
But for people who, I'm very open about how I feel about people and what they say.
Yeah.
People that genuinely think being a new parent is fun, you guys are out of your goddamn minds.
So I always have said,
I'm sorry.
always have said that I wanted a baby to be delivered to me like Dumbo. Okay, Dumbo. At 6 months.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because that's where they're getting all chubby, their rolls, they're crawling, they're moving. I have never said I wanted to be pregnant. And I feel like it sounds really bad saying this because I know a lot of couples struggle getting pregnant. And we over here like spontaneous triplets.
Yeah.
So I feel bad saying this, but I was never saying like, I want to be pregnant during this time. Oh, I want my belly to look. I just wanted the baby to be delivered to me.
Right.
Like the Grinch. Like,
right. So I guess let me ask you this then. I mean, for some of these questions you've been asking me, I know this is Clueless Mama, and you've got
where's clueless parents today?
Pretty clueless dad up here. How do you feel about some of this stuff? I mean, how do you feel about like some of your fondest memories with being pregnant, for one, and like, did you go through any depressional points or any low points? I mean, I know obviously any of them that were around I knew about because we were pretty open with each other, but I mean, what was one of your high points for the pregnancy? What was something that you enjoyed the most about it? I mean, I know for women, it's like a glorified thing, like, oh, I'm carrying these babies, I'm their shelter, I'm their house. And you definitely form this pretty significant bond with these kids much longer, like longer and sooner than a father would.
Yeah.
I don't get that until they come out, So, I mean, how did you feel about the pregnancy and like highs and low points of your pregnancy for your specific like case, I guess?
So my high point is feeling all three of them move at the same time. Mm-hmm. I feel like not everybody could experience 6 hands, 6 feet moving. The low point is your body change. Everybody said that when you get your first period, when you turn 13, your body changes. Mm-hmm. Now, your body changes when you get pregnant. Mm-hmm. Your boobs, your hips, your ass, your stomach, stretch marks.
Oh, I loved every goddamn minute of that. So I guess, that could go back to my answer too. Like, I loved seeing you be pregnant. You see these pregnant chicks, they glow up. They have this certain kind of glow about them. Now, there's some chicks out there who I just think should not reproduce.
Oh my God.
They're not built for it. They just turn into trolls. In your case, I feel like you blew up.
I was a roly-poly that couldn't roll.
Your glow up was really like good. Like you just had this glow about you. You looked fantastic. You carried it well, and you look great pregnant. Yeah. I was so attracted to you right around that, I'd say 5-6 month mark.
Yeah, towards the end.
Oh man, I was so attracted to you. It was just so hard not to look at you when you were around.
It was hard not to look at me. It was a fucking ball.
No, you weren't that big. You looked great.
And something I also, when the day they told us we're having triplets, the first thing I Googled was triplets belly. Mm-hmm. I wanted to see how big I was going to get.
And I showed
And
you
then
that
you
video.
fucking showed me the video of this girl. No offense to this girl.
Yeah.
Her stomach looked like a minion.
It looked like a minion head. It looked like Bob's head from the Minions.
But she was very skinny. She obviously carried them out, where I was carrying them more in.
Yeah.
Because
in the ribs.
32 weeks, my stomach was measuring 42 weeks. So I was 10 weeks ahead.
Yeah.
But I think that girl, when she was at 35, she was measuring like 50 weeks. Mm-hmm. So she was like having another pregnancy.
She was huge. Her stomach was like, excuse me. Her stomach was like 2 foot out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know how she was carrying it. It was like somebody took a cylinder and just stuck it on her stomach. And it was insane. I was really nervous for you in that essence.
Oh, I was terrified.
Like, if you were going to get that big, it was just like, holy crap. Because I've seen twin, stomachs.
Yes.
That are just gargantuan. They're huge,
And then my concern is like, I don't want to stay fat afterwards. Just because I grew up in that time where you're like, you have to be skinny. No ass, no boob, skinny, skinny, skinny. And now, like, okay, now it's more acceptable for young girls. They're like, oh, have hips, have curves. Back in the 2000s and the 90s, that was not acceptable. So that's still in my mind where, like, seriously, when it took me like 3 weeks for me to see my body after having the babies.
Yeah.
I didn't look at it. I changed in the closet.
I know.
With no mirror.
I remember.
I haven't even looked at my C-section scar. I still try to avoid looking at it.
And I think that's actually pretty tough for a lot of women who have kids, like your body, it hasn't been mutilated. I guess that's not a good word. Your body has definitely been altered. Yeah. Like it's changed for life. Like, yeah, some of your scars will be there for life.
All the stretch marks.
There's things you can do, obviously, to aid and help. I mean, look at Sabra.
She never got a stretch mark.
I'm just saying, there's things you can do to help. But yeah, no, I can totally see that going from, you still look great. You're back to your pre-pregnancy weight almost immediately. Yeah. You just have a few scars and stuff like that. But I can totally see, especially from a woman's standpoint, of how you guys are always real self-conscious about your bodies as is. Yeah. How this would kind of hit you really hard. Like, oh my God, I look like this for life now. But through my eyes, it's like really awesome because you guys do what you do.
Yeah, I'm still shocked that
you know what I mean?
We're able to produce a baby, make a baby, and then feed a baby off of that. Yeah. Off of one body. It still blow minds, but.
So my next question, which I think is going to be a good one for some of these mothers out there who might not know, maybe, at least I think it's a good one, if they choose to listen to this or not. What are some of the things that you were, I guess, nervous about or that scared you, or some of your complications? Now, I know what these complications were, like your preeclampsia and some of the, once we knew, but we didn't know until they told us, like your life is kind of at risk right now. Yeah. With your preeclampsia being as bad as it was, and them knowing you were going to get it, they just were waiting. But they never told us that until you got it. And then they came out, oh, yeah, we knew you were going to get it. It was just a matter of time. And then I remember in the OR, the surgeon looks down and goes, oh, your kidneys were definitely failing. They're fucking brown. And I remember you just looked up at me like, what the fuck? And it was just like, oh boy. I mean, what kind of emotion does that bring in? Like some of those things, like some of those complications with this, or even the fact that you had such a high risk pregnancy. I mean, is it the not knowing, or is it the I can't do anything to help some of these high risk things?
So when I found out we were pregnant, my first comment was like, damn, I'm going to have to push this baby out. Mm-hmm. And that was my fear. Because I hate feeling pain. When I found out it was triplets and they told me I was going to just get a C-section and become a vending machine, at that point, I didn't think any risk factor could happen to me. It was more of do what you could do to keep these babies alive. So as you see, I really didn't eat any sugar. I was really concerned about having diabetes. Yeah. I was very strict on what I was eating. I didn't want to overweight myself because they told me I was going to gain 60 to 80 pounds.
Yeah, I remember that.
I gained 50.
Which is still a ton of weight.
Yes. And I feel like if Millie would have came out as a 3 or 4 pounder, I would have been closer to that goal.
Had she been a normal...
Preemie.
Yeah, not what she... Yeah.
The preeclampsia, I didn't really know what it was other than your blood pressure being high and getting swollen feet. I didn't know it attacks and fails your kidney. And the thing is, it never attacked in my blood pressure.
No.
It went straight to my kidneys.
Straight to your kidneys, yeah. Which they couldn't tell.
No, because unless the protein were my urine, then that was just towards the end. And I feel like they noticed that because I was dehydrated that appointment.
And that was the second time that we went in.
The first time.
Right, but the second time we went in was when they really started monitoring your urine.
Yes.
And they... Remember, they would come in and go, yeah, your proteins are going through the roof. And nobody really had a set answer for it. Other than, you're starting preeclampsia. No, you were well into preeclampsia a week prior.
Oh, I think it was the first time we ended up at the hospital. I already had preeclampsia. But that they didn't look at it because my blood pressure was perfectly fine.
They gave the steroid shots, some of the mag, some of the things to kind of, I guess you could say, soften up some of those...
Stop the premature labor.
Yeah, that, but it also kind of, it stopped some of the preeclampsia signs.
Yeah.
Other than your kidneys pretty much being.
Pretty much. So when the moment they told me you were going to have C-section, I didn't have any concerns about myself other than you got to do to keep these babies healthy, alive. You got to do for them to not come. Because they were giving us goal. Our goal was to make it to 19 weeks, was making it to 20, was making it to 24, then 24 to 28, and 28 to 35.
Yeah.
And I remember the 4th of July when we're at the car show. And I was like, we need to go to the urgent care. I'm having a lot of pain.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I was in fear. And then every time I would go to the bathroom, I would like wipe. I'm like, okay, there's no blood. Oh, thank God. That was more of a fear. Like, what if the babies come and have a miscarriage? And then I'm not just losing one. We're losing 3 kids. That was more fear. I never thought my life was at risk because I'm still, consider myself young.
Yeah.
But it was more of, no. And then especially because we knew what we were going to have. And you already had named Millie, and you already had named James. So we already had names to those babies that were like, we're already attached.
Oh, yeah,
Jacqueline,
for sure.
Jacqueline was baby girl A until the 13th of October.
For sure, yeah.
So I never thought that, but yeah, it's been very, very crazy. This pregnancy really been 30 months.
That and being your first one, I mean, what was your thought? Like your first genuine, I know you were looking at me like, why the fuck aren't you reacting weirdly to this when they had told us that there were 3 babies in there?
Because at first when they were doing the ultrasound, they're like, something doesn't seem right. I thought there was no baby. I thought we had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
And when the doctor was like, oh no, I see multiple sacs. I was like, I could do twins. Twins, piece of cake.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, honey, there's more than 2. I was in shock because I didn't know I was able to carry 3 kids. I didn't know we were going to have that great of a luck to have 3 babies at once.
Yeah.
So I was very shocked. And then I was seeing you calm. I'm like, why am I? And then my thing is like, I'm going to have to like deliver these 3 babies. I thought I was going to have to push them out. And well, thank God I didn't. But that was my fear. And then when you were like calm, you being calm, it made me get calm. Because if you were going to freak out, it was just going to increase my level of freak out.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So with that, I was never that girl that like, I want twins. Because my best friend, she always wanted twins. Since I met her, I'm like, I'm going to get twins.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't care. I just want one, a total of 4 kids.
Yeah.
So at this point, possibility,
Right.
But I was never, so when they told me, like, go with triplets, I'm like, you're joking. There's no way. And it was more of like, we outgrown our house that we just bought a year prior. We outgrown our truck. We outgrown a lot of things. So that was my fear of like, it's going to, and then also how expensive.
That was kind of your first thoughts was, oh man, we just outgrew everything we just built.
Bought. Yes.
Like we just built this house, just got this house.
Yes.
Justifiably so, this office that we're currently standing in is technically another room. Correct. We're okay. We have a 4-bed. It's not a 3-bed. Like what most people come in and see. Yeah. It is a 4-bedroom. Yes. It's not a 3. Because I remember even when we were like looking for upgrading, it was like, oh, well, here's a 3-bed. Here's a 4-bed. It's like, we already have a 4-bedroom, you know?
Yeah.
So,
But that was
so that
my
was
fear.
your initial thought, was just kind of fear of some of the stuff that we'd already kind of established and set.
Yeah, and then I started doubting myself. Like, what if I'm not a good parent and I have to, like, take care of 3 kids? Like, when you have your first kid, you fucked up once. On your second kid, you fix what you fucked up on the first one.
Okay, fair enough.
Here, we fucked up 3 times.
Well, that's what I said earlier. Like, failure's not an option here. Like, you're
No.
going to mess things up.
And we're going to mess it up 3
Like, are you
times.
kidding me? Look at our parents. They raised us by frickin' belt and wooden spoons. So, in my case, my dad had a frickin'
We had a belt.
A Seneca Light 100 sticking out of the corner of his mouth with an MGD beer in his hand, doing hood rat shit with us. I was driving his Dodge Astro van around on his lap when I was like 3 years old. You know, like,
Yeah.
we grew up in a really good time where things were like that. Nowadays, it's a little different. We are millennials, you know, and things are just different. You know, parents back then were a lot different.
Now, my theory is kids that were born before technology, we were dumb babies.
I mean,
That's why parents had 10 plus kids, 5 plus kids.
no, honestly.
But I feel like kids
disagree.
now,
I
no, I
disagree.
feel like kids now are smarter. And that's why kids, and it's more expensive, but I think kids are born more with technology knowledge that parents like, well, I don't want to.
See, and I disagree in the essence that I think kids nowadays have no fucking street smarts. Like, none of these kids that are in high school right now have any street smarts. Me, when I was in high school, I slept in the fucking rocket park across from our school for like a week straight because my mom kicked me out after I just moved back in because my dad kicked me out because I rolled his truck. Okay, I didn't have tablet smarts or electronic smarts. We didn't need it.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
knew where my friends were at by where their bikes were at, whose house. Kids today,
But
they
that's
have no street smarts, no common sense. Kids today are dumb. Okay? We were actually, in my opinion, millennials and the ones before us, I don't remember the generation.
X, Y, Z,
Whatever
A,
the
B, C, D, E, F,
fuck they
G,
are, but
H,
yeah.
I, J. K.
Us millennials and the generation before us are some smart motherfuckers. Now then you got the boomers like my dad. They're just rough, tough, hardworking, whoop your ass with a wooden spoon type of people. But even they weren't that smart. You had the very few far in between, like my grandfather, who's an aviation expert and fucking worked on tankers in World War One,
Yeah.
designed plane parts. It's like, that was that generation of just, we're building, we're smart. Kids nowadays, they're so fucking dumb because of these tablets. They don't know anything other than a screen.
And that's for next episode.
But we're getting off on
You're very passionate about that. We could talk about that
a
next.
totally different tangent here, but yeah, no. Yeah, kids today, we make them look stupid. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
Agree to disagree.
sure. But yeah, so no, I totally see your point on what you were worried about with some of that stuff, because that was some of my worries too. But I feel like some of that stuff you can't control, because there's families out there who do a whole lot more with a lot less than what
We were given.
don't take this the wrong way, what I had built up for us to have here in Nevada.
Yeah.
I worked for a lot of years there in California. Granted, a lot of the years was a lot of money wasted and time wasted and nothing to show for it. Our relationship was built out of there, but this house, the foundation, coming back to Nevada to get this new position, and you having the graces of having your job at home really solidified a lot of good things for us to set us up for this. We're probably the most prepared parents, I think, out of quite a few people that I've met.
Yeah, because if we would have gone pregnant
In California, oh no. It would
at the age of 20 with triplets,
I mean, by now we'd have 10-year-olds and we'd have it figured out. But yeah,
They
it
would've
would have
been really
been,
fucked up.
it would have been a fucking nightmare. I think now, having, like I said, what we have established, who we are as people and how we've grown, really helped us to kind of shape us into who we are now and who we are as parents. We're still clueless as any other new parents are going to be.
yeah.
And that's what this is all about, us being able to talk and get some of this information out. Hopefully it's good for some people. Like I said, some other people are going to be like, oh, you guys are just overthinking this or overthinking. And that's fine. Everybody has a different view on this. Some people might think parenting is the easiest goddamn thing they've ever done. You're right. Changing diapers and feeding babies is pretty freaking easy. It's the psychological warfare that kids
Yeah.
have on you. It's the mental factor that a lot of people can't deal with. And for me, that's one of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh man, like the mental factor is huge. If you got to be very strong minded in a lot of these situations. And I don't try to be the smartest in these situations because that's just not feasible. I try to, assess, evaluate, attack, whatever. That's fine. But mentally, the stress factor that's involved and all the other, it's so much different than I'm going to be able to ever explain.
Yeah.
You don't know until you're doing it.
Until you're in that situation.
Until you're doing it. Anything I could tell you right now, like, yeah, oh, well, Robert mentioned this. He said this. And that doesn't matter. You're not going to know jack squat until you do this on your own. We're still going to have questions.
Oh, yeah.
From things that happened a month ago. Like, well, what about this situation? Like right now, Jacqueline being a little turd when she feeds, and she seems like she's just a little bit energy deficient. There might not be anything that comes of it, but I'm still going to sit here and go, what was
could
that?
it be?
What could we have done? You know what I mean? We don't know. She's perfectly healthy. She's perfectly fine. She's just going through one of those phases. I don't know. But yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting topic to talk about because like you said, I don't really feel like people do talk about this stuff enough. And part of that, I think, is because people are afraid to because, well, like my parents. Oh, you just give them this or this, that. Like they were so just whatever with us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to them, it's like, oh, you're over, to them, it's like, oh, this is
We're
just...
overprotecting and we're overthinking and we're exaggerating.
Exactly. This is just easy stuff. They're just raising kids. Yeah. Well, that's fine. For you guys, it was. And that's why we're a little fucked up.
But also, and I feel like this is going to be another good topic to talk about another episode.
Mm-hmm.
Having preemies versus a full-term baby.
Oh, man. You guys are in for it.
I never thought a world change of that. So I feel like that's going to be a good topic for our next episode.
100%.
On those two things because it's so mind-blowing and so...
There's just not a lot of information out there for it.
No, because everything you look for... When I try to look at things, they're like, oh, full-term babies. I'm like,
okay. No, even at that, though, parents who've been in the NICU might have just been in the NICU for a week or so. Or you have babies that are in the NICU for, like, what we saw. Baby Chad.
Yeah.
He's in there because of what his mother did to him. That's really common. The kid's withdrawing. He's pissed off all the time. You don't see a lot of premature cases like what we had.
No.
There's not a lot of triplet cases out there. There's not a lot of quads. I mean, you got the octuplet mom, but that's just something totally different. I can't.
Yeah, but I feel like even a singleton preemie and a singleton newborn is completely different.
100%
raising. So I feel like that would be a good topic to talk about next.
There is so much to discuss on that. And I think it could actually enlighten a lot of things to even just newborns.
Yeah. Because
even newborn parents who get their kids, and they go home with them, Zeke and Bailey, they took Emerson home the day after. That day Emerson was born, I went to the hospital to go do the car seat test with Millie. I went and stopped in and, Zeke's dad and they were there and they were asking a bunch of questions. They're like, oh, you've been in there for how long? About 2 months now, and they're like, damn, whoa, man. And I'm asking them a ton of questions like, whoa, wait, you mean to tell me that they just brought you in here and she already took a shit and she's like already just feeding off the tit and you guys are going home tomorrow? And Zeke's like, yeah. I'm like, whoa, that's so foreign to me. Like, we don't know what that is. I can't even comprehend how, I wouldn't say nice that would be. Because you're just, day later, here you go, try not to kill this thing.
I would have freaked out if they would have just told me, take the triplets home.
But what I'm getting at is Joel, Zeke's dad, was just like, he was just sitting there listening to me talk to Zeke about what we were going through and our daily routine. Like, every 3 hours we're doing this. And then, we got to do this on this day and then this on this day. And then there's these tests. And then with Millie, this. And I look over at his dad and he's just looking at me like, what the fuck, man? And I'm just like, that's not normal? Like, to us, that's normal.
Yeah.
And to them, they were just like jaws to the floor, like, what the fuck? And it was just like, that's my normal. Like, I'm not even worried about it because this is just what we do. But even, and Zeke was just like, dude, that's crazy. You guys do that every day? And it's like, well, yeah, man, we wake up at 6.
We didn't even go to bed.
Head straight over. We're there all day till about 9, 10 in the afternoon. Sometimes I'll go back till 2, 3 in the morning. That's our norm. So I think this, talking about the NICU and prematures and some of the stuff that goes on with them is going to open up a lot of people's eyes to, like I said, even newborn things that you might have questions for. Now, newborns are pretty easy compared to a preemie as far
Yeah.
as
Their development.
everything. But we didn't really technically have newborns until a month after they were born. Well, no, not even that.
No,
two.
two.
2 months, yeah. By the time we took Millie home, we officially had newborns gestationally.
Yeah.
Correct age. Yeah, it's freaking insane.
Perfect. So we will talk about that in our next episode. Mm-hmm. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Us rattle for so long. And I hope you guys enjoy it.
Right on. Well, thanks for having me, honey.
Anytime.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be co-host on a few more of these. It's called Clueless Mom, but you definitely got a Clueless Dad on here too. So
We're clueless parents.
yeah, but I think in the next one too, we need to get your Clueless Mom, talk a little bit more as far as like more questions for you. I mean,
Okay.
my questions answering are fine. That's from a father's perspective. I think from a mother's perspective is a lot different.
Bring on the list of questions.
Well, I mean, most of my questions have been answered, but I can come up with some stuff that I think would be helpful.
Perfect. Until next week.
All right, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.